there are some key things that you need to do when you're brand new, or it doesn't really, maybe this will be a good refresher for just about anybody. Um, it's just key steps when you're going through different stages of trading. I frequently talk about this. I talk about the 3 stages of trading. First stage, when you come into trading, or you come into a new strategy, or if you have zero experience, you're going to lose, right? You, hopefully not real money because you're doing this on demo, but um, we'll check out the markups after if you guys send them. I can't do them right now, but you're going to come into trading and you're going to lose, right? You're learning new things. You're just not going to come. I don't know anybody personally that has just come into trading and just starts winning. It just doesn't happen. From there, you transition to the second phase that I talk about, which is where you become break even. And most people will look at this like a negative thing, where they're not making money, but they're not losing money. And I tell people this is a stage that you should be excited about, because this means you've transitioned out of that first stage. You're no longer losing your capital. Now you're in a position where you're preserving your capital, you're protecting your capital, you're not losing it. And that means you've made adjustments from the data that you've collected in the first stage, and you've learned from it and you've applied it and you've taken that with you and you've transitioned. And then you repeat this process. And it can be painstakingly slow. It can be very hard to do. It requires a lot of discipline. It requires a lot of patience. And it's going to be one of the biggest factors of you succeeding in trading or not, if you do this. Like I promise you right now, if anything I ever tell you today, if the one thing that you really want to listen to, the one thing that you really need to apply, and it's going to be the number one thing that you do not want to do, it's very detailed data collection. So when you're new to this community, we have things that are in place for you to get set up so you can properly record your data, so you can transition through these different phases. And then when you transition out of that second phase from repeating the same process that you did in the first stage to get to the second stage, then you transition into that third stage of being a profitable trader. You're not just going to jump from I'm a losing trader, I'm not making money, I'm inexperienced, or I'm brand new to a strategy, and you're not just going to hop right into that winning strategy, right? Like there's a learning curve. You just got to recognize that and have realistic expectations. So let me share my screen. I'm going to bring up some of the things that you need to do. Let me see, share screen 3. Okay. So again, this might be repetitive for some of you, but that can be a good thing as well. Let me pull the chat back up. Oops, I just clicked on that. So when you are into the Discord and you come into the launch section, it's really, really important. Like I understand, like you want to get to the meat and potatoes. You want to get into the group chat. You want to get into the mentor charts. You want to get into the trade signals. You want to get into the action. And that is just the route that is going to slow your progress. If you really want to take this serious, if you really want to quit your job and trade full time and have a certain lifestyle that you have set for your goals, there's a really clear blueprint that you need to follow. And all of these things are going to revolve around discipline. You have to be disciplined to do this stuff. Most people, they ask us a lot of different questions and they ask us, oh, you have certain templates and this and that. And, you know, it can be evident that they just didn't go through the launch stuff. They didn't go through the trading model. And I can't stress it enough. You probably shouldn't even look in that group chat. When you go into, you guys can all see my screen, right? All right. When you come into this, you need to go to the group chat. You need to, I even have it, right? You need to click this. You can independently control the alerts for all these different sections. Make sure your announcements, make sure that's on. Make sure there's no strike going through it. Mentor charts, you can leave this on. It's not going to go crazy. Group chat, turn those off. Crypto watch, turn those off. You just don't need to go into that distraction zone. You just got to stay focused and just get the foundation done. Think about it when you're building a house. If you're going to have a house that stands the test of time, it's going to be sturdy and it's going to be balanced. You have to build it on a solid foundation. So that's what you need to focus on. To get started, follow these steps. You might have some of these steps done, but just make sure you go through it. And then the most important step is 6. Begin your 7-figure trading business model. This business model, it's going to take you here, but you want to click this. This is the actual 7-figure trading business model. This is what you need to really go through and take your time with and get properly set up. And what we're talking about when getting set up, fill out your goal setting sheet. Filling out your goal setting sheet and doing it properly and doing it in a way that even like the language that you use and setting it up for 30 days, not maybe 90, 60 day, 90 day, 6 month, 1 year, 5 year, but write it in a way, I'm not sure, I forget how Bogdan had it in here, but the way that I personally do it is similar to a pyramid, and they call it pyramid goal setting. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You can Google it, and it basically has your big goal at the top. And then below is made up of the foundation, right? To build yourself up to the point, and you have smaller goals. Those can be like your 30-day goals. Then the next layer would be maybe 90-day goals, et cetera, et cetera, right? But the way that I do it and the way that I write up my goals is I'll say, this is my goal, this is why it's my goal, and this is what I'm going to do to accomplish that. That's so I'm not just writing down a bunch of things I wish will happen. I'm writing down things in the form of action steps. And ultimately, it's going to develop a clear blueprint on what you need to do to get from that foundation level to putting the shingles on the roof and all the finishing touches. So it's really important that you do that. Next one, most people probably have this. It's broker setup. If you need a broker, we have the recommendation. But number 3, this is incredibly important, your trade journal. There's different forms of data collection, and I recommend you do both of these, if not all 3. The first one is this trade journal. You can use our template here. Just click on this and go to File and create a copy and get as detailed as possible. The date, the time, the session, the pair, the pricing, and include snapshots. If you don't know how to take snapshots, on TradingView at the top here, there's a little camera. You click that and it's going to give you a link. Include before and after snapshots, right? So like, let's say I want to take a snapshot of this. I can write notes on this screen, right? Like maybe my confirmations or whatever it might be, then take a snapshot. And then I put it in the trade journal next to that trade. And then after the trade completes, I'll take another snapshot, because remember, I'm focusing on collecting data. I'm not focusing on winning or losing trades. I'm not focusing on making money. I'm not in that stage yet. That's very important. Let me bring this back up. How did I do this? Sorry, it's like half off the screen and it's, there we go. I almost just had it. There we go. Okay, so it's important to have that trade journal. The next thing I would do in terms of tracker is the EFX tracker. That's more like stats. It's going to give you your daily, your weekly, your quarterly, your monthly, then your quarterly, then your yearly stats, percentages, and dollar amount. The next thing, which is more important than this one, and probably more important than the actual trade journal itself, is doing a MyFX book. And it's probably not in here. It's not so much about recording how much you're up or down or anything like that. MyFX book can log a lot of data that would be probably impossible for a lot of people to track, or just be extremely complicated and very time consuming. It's going to give you so much valuable information. I can't even tell you how many people I know that I've worked with in the past that have had major breakthroughs because of MyFX book tracking. It's going to track the amount of pairs. It's going to track which pairs you perform the best with, which pairs you perform the worst with. There's just going to be a lot of data. How many buys you're taking, how many sells you're taking, which ones are performing the best. All of this data that you need to collect. And then when you're done with these trade blocks, I usually tell people to do a month of trade blocks. So like if you're new and you're done going through the educational material and you want to start applying what you're learning, and you execute a trade, you document it, you have your MyFX book hooked up, and you just focus on applying what you're learning. And I can't stress this enough. When you're doing this and you're in that first stage and second stage, you cannot be focusing on your result. This is what keeps people trapped in a never-ending rabbit hole. Trust me when I say this, you just need to get into the mind frame of I'm solely applying what I'm learning to track everything and log everything that I'm doing. My pairs, the time frames, everything. And then afterwards, after that month of trades is complete, some people do 20 to 25 trades. Other people do every month worth of trades. It's really up to you. Once the month is done, or once your trade block is done, now it's time to comb through this information. And there's going to be patterns that emerge. There's going to be patterns within your behaviors, patterns with your trading. You're going to be able to see how many pairs I've traded on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. Which pairs were they? Where, which pairs I performed the best with, which pairs I performed the worst with, which time of day did I have the best results? Which time frames did I have the best results? Which time frames did I have the worst results? Right? Like, you guys kind of get my point. There's a lot of things, and I'm not even talking about chart stuff yet. Like, just basic information, right? Like, you can get so much information, and that's what you got to use to transition through these stages. If you don't do this, I'll just be blunt with you. If you don't do this, or if you don't do this or don't want to do this, you're not going to be a consistently profitable trader. And I hate to burst your bubble, but you guys know I always keep things pretty brutally honest. This is a must. This is a mandatory. Like, you need to do this. And if you need to be held accountable, so be it. Get a trading partner. Trading partners aren't for discussing ideas. It's for to hold you accountable and have consequences if needed. Mia just talked about when she is doing something, and if she breaks a certain rule that she has, she'll do 50 burpees. There's just so many different examples of it, right? She's holding herself accountable and having consequences so she can change her behaviors, right? It's crucial. But I promise you, the data collection, I don't even know how to word this to stress the point of how important this is. You need to collect your data, and more importantly, you need to collect it in a fashion that you're not focused on. Like, you can't come to me and say, my first trade block or my second trade block, and I'm losing every trade, or I'm not getting it. This doesn't make sense. Well, obviously. Like, I can't tell you how many people, because what happens is we're humans. And when we're learning something new, we want to gauge our progress by how well we're doing or our results, right? Winning trades, seeing a positive outcome, what does that equal? That equals You getting it. You're learning it. You're making progress. People look at losing trades as the opposite, like they're degressing or they're not getting it or something's wrong. You guys relate to that? You guys understand what I'm saying? It's this right here. What I'm talking about is the single biggest trap that people fall into. This stuff right here is incredibly hard to do. This is developing a skill right here. Like there's a lot of individual skills. This is a big one. And this really focuses on, like I can tell you right now, it's probably gonna be one of the hardest parts of your journey. To do this, just focusing on data, not getting distracted by the end result of individual trades, weekly results, or monthly results. This is required of you to be, because there's a lot of things that are happening in the background by you doing this. You're going to become a disciplined trader and you're going to acquire the casino owner mentality. You're going to start thinking in probability, right? So like, for example, I've had people that I've worked with, they go through maybe 2 trade blocks and the end result at the end of the month, right? It's something you still track, but it's not a focus. And they record a month's worth of data, they go through it, they find, they go through all the data that I just went through, and then you go through certain patterns. You're going to recognize, okay, these flag patterns are just something I spot easily. They're something I trade effectively on higher time frames with the trend. I can also see here on these 15-minute and under trades, on these time frames lower than 15-minute, on these little bankers candles that are not taking liquidity, they're not aligned with the higher time frame trend, I'm getting smoked on. So what do you do in the next trade block? You eliminate those and you focus on what you're doing well. What's getting you the results, what's bringing home the bread. And then you transition to that and you keep doing that and you bring that information and you go to that second trade block. So the person I'm talking about, when they did this, and then we get to the third trade block, right? There were positive results at the end. It was 7% positive, and they weren't even focusing on being positive. But what they saw happen was they collected the information, they made the necessary changes based on that data, decompiling all that data, apply what they learned to the next phase, did that again. And then they saw, without even focusing on the end result, that the results started to click in. And the results went from negative into positive, and they transitioned. Do you guys follow that? And what's happening here too, and the very interesting part of that 7% profitable, I think I don't remember the exact amount of trades, but I do remember they won a very small percentage of the trades. I think it was right around like 22 trades and they won like 3. So they recognized 2 things. One, wow, I'm transitioning from these different phases because I'm just focusing on my data. I'm not focusing on the end result or getting caught up in shiny objects or any of that noise. And I noticed that these numbers play out if I'm using proper risk and get minimum, I think they always did minimum 4-1. I usually do minimum 5-1, but that they saw that it wasn't about how many trades they won. It wasn't about how many pips they were getting. They just saw the numbers play out. Think about that, winning 3 trades out of 20 something trades and seeing a positive result. So that's transitioning them through the phases, and it's training them to think in probabilities. And like I said earlier, acquiring that casino owner mentality, which is vital. And we have a really good video talking all about how to adapt that mindset, that casino owner mindset. So another important thing, all right, let's just go through a couple more things. Your trade plan, here's a template. This is something that's going to evolve. This is something that changes as you go through these different transitions, these different phases. And you're going to be that their trade plan. This is basically like a one-size-fits-all trade plan template, but it's going to be customized with the changes that you make through all these different phases. So it's another form of recording your data. Then the next thing you need to do is get a market biofeedback journal, and you have our template here. And this is how you assess your different thoughts and your attitudes and your beliefs during and after each trade. It's basically a trade journal, but for your thinking at the different stages. So you'll see it's more detailed when you actually open it up. Just for time's sake, I'm not going to. It's going to say, okay, here's the pair, the first stage, the analysis, the execution, the trade management, the end result. And you talk about different things that are going on at those different stages. It's very vital. And here's another example. I recently went over, I met up with this girl who I was doing some private sessions with. And she was recording all her data perfectly. She did a trade journal, my FX book, market biofeedback. We would go through it together. The last trade journal we went through, and she had her correlating market biofeedback. And I can't even tell you how many trades she identified through her market biofeedback that she should not have been in, just because of certain emotions or certain things that she was feeling about the trade. Or she would write down like, I really don't feel good about this trade because it doesn't have all my confirmations, or whatever it might be. And we removed every single trade that she identified as a negative trade based on her market bio. And when we removed all of those, this was granted, but before, when we were going over this data, it was a losing month. I think it was like negative 16%. I think there was like maybe 34 trades. When we went through and removed all of the trades from the market biofeedback that clearly said you should not be getting in this trade, she would have had a profitable month. And if she's on here, she'll vouch for it. I'm not making this up. I just don't want to throw anybody's name out there and say, point a finger. So I can't tell you how important it is. The next thing is the SWOT analysis. If you, again, you can click here, you can get a template. A SWOT analysis is one of the most powerful things that you can really do. This was introduced to me by one of my mentors, and this was a game changer for me. If you're not familiar with a SWOT analysis, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. A lot of big companies, Fortune 500 companies, started doing this. We just recently did one with EasyFX Trading. And it's basically, we had somebody come in and they looked at everything. They looked at all our numbers. They looked at our community. They looked at our website. They looked at our paid advertising. They looked at every little aspect. They looked at all of the data that we've collected over the last year through our subscription management service, through our paid advertising, through our bank accounts, how much we're spending, how much we're bringing in, how much money is being allocated to this, to that, this and the other thing, right? They looked through all this and they then presented us with a report. And this report presented all of our strengths. Then it talked about all of our weaknesses, anything that was hurting us, anything that we should start cutting off the fat. Then there were certain things for opportunities. If we were to do, for example, if we were to allocate a certain amount of money to this and minimize it on another back end, we would have more funds for, adding maybe, let's just say, another trader, educator on the community for a salary or whatever it might be. There were just a lot of opportunities if certain things were allocated correctly, if that makes sense. And then we went over the threats. They presented all the potential threats to us as a business, things that could hurt us. And this is very, very powerful because what does it do? It shows us what we need to exploit. It shows us what we need to avoid. And it shows us things that we can expand on through opportunity and things that we can make changes for because of it's a threat to us. This is what you need to do to your trading. This is something that you go through when you finish your trade blocks. When you finish a trade block, that's exactly what you're looking for. And this is just a basic example SWOT analysis. So like when you're finished going through your data, you're basically you're writing down your strengths, you're writing down your weaknesses, you're writing down your opportunities, and you're writing down your threats. Here's just a couple of examples, right? So for threats, not following my trade plan, revenge trading, right? Those can be a threat to your trading business. Weaknesses, fear of leaving money on the table, weakness of mine, or whoever this was, over trading. Whatever, it's going to look different for everybody, and it's going to look different depending on the stage you're in. But it's crucial. It's crucial. These steps, nobody wants to do it. It is because it's not chart related. But I promise you, this is what's going to move the needle. This is what's going to get you to where you want to go. I promise you that. Let's see. So those are probably the main things that I would do in terms of the setup. I know I spent a little bit more time there, but this is probably, out of every question and thing that you guys asked me to talk about today, this is the most important. This has probably the biggest effect on your future as a trader, the stuff that we just went over right now, 100%. And I'm going to be straight up with you. It's going to be the hardest part, because this is going to require work. It's going to require discipline. It's going to require patience, and it's going to require extreme focus. Extreme focus. But this is what it takes. This is what it takes. If you want to do this, this is what it takes, and just handle business. Let's see. Everything else here is pretty self-explanatory, but again, you want to go over all of this. The last thing I'm just going to show you really quickly in terms of like getting set up, right? We always talk about treating trading like a business. You can't treat this like a hobby. However you treat this, right? If you do this stuff, if you download these templates, if you actually do the trade journal and the data collection, however you treat this, your results are going to be a reflection of that. So think about this, and I just use this for example's sake. If you take EasyFX, right? EasyFX trading as a brand, as a company, if we treated this like a hobby, what do you think the results would be? Like if we didn't track any of the numbers, if we didn't track our spending, if we didn't track anything, what do you think what kind of business will we be running? How long do you think we would last? Let me just take a sip of this. Yeah, it would be very disorganized, and it would be hard to scale. It would be hard to grow. It would be hard to improve. And probably, especially if we weren't keeping track of finances and bookkeeping, right? Like, there's a good chance that we could go bust if we're not managing things accordingly. But what do? We hire companies to come in to run SWOT analysis. We have companies that we hire to do our advertising. We have companies that we hire to do our social media management. We have people that come in that we've hired that do our taxes, our bookkeeping, and make sure everything is on point. We have LLCs registered. We have business bank accounts done, right? We're treating this like a business, like a 7-figure business. So the results are going to be a reflection of that from a business standpoint. It's no different with any business. Doesn't matter if you have a brick and mortar pizza store. How you treat that, if you do the same things or if you don't, the results are going to be a reflection of that. You're running a trading business here. You're not just jumping on charts trying to make money and hope for the best. You're running a business. So this was actually a really good, this right here was a really good training that we did recently. And I actually just added it into the trading model today. I thought it was there. and for some reason it wasn't. So I added it there today. This video right here is also going to be one of the most important trainings out of everyone on this entire Discord. This is going to show you how to get set up and treat trading like a business, right? And I'm talking about, and there's a lot of different categories. It's a longer video. I think it's more on the 2-hour length side, but it's going to talk right down to how you pay yourself and how I do it. So I have payroll that's set up. I have my trading business set up as an LLC that's taxed as an S Corp, right? That language might be different if you're located in different parts of the world, but it's still the same, right? Luke, I think he has the same exact setup as I do, and he's in the UK. It's just called something different. It's called limited, right? Or limited, you guys will probably tell me in the chat, but it's just called LLC. Is just a different name over there. But you can basically have things set up the same way. Yeah, an LTD, right? So ours is just called an LLC. It's literally the same thing, but it's all discussed. Every different aspect of how to treat and set up your own trading business. And that's what I would watch here. I would honestly watch this. And some of it you're not going to have to do right now. Like, you don't have to do, you don't need a business trading bank account with an LLC and payroll and bookkeeping, which I have. I've automated bookkeeping done through a company, automated payroll. So any money that comes into my trading business account, certain percentage is sent to me automatically every single month in the form of payroll with all of my withholdings, right? And then I can take distributions quarterly. But you don't need to do that right now, right? Like I didn't do that until I was making decent money. So like not all of it has to be done or applied right away, but it's going to paint the picture for you. And a lot of it you can do. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, getting that stuff set up in the 7-figure trading business model, and then how to properly set up your trading business, that's what I would watch before any type of training that has to do with charts. Again, that's one of those things that's going to require discipline from you. Just block out the noise. Just come into this with the mindset that I just am going to do what's necessary. If you really want the results that you desire, like, and I'm not trying to like point fingers, or I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer, but 99% of the people that come to me and say that they're struggling or they're having trouble with certain things, they're not doing a lot of this stuff. They might be doing some of it, or, their way of doing it, but they're not following this to a T. And it becomes evident when I talk to these people and I ask them certain questions. Are you back testing? Are you recording all this data? Or, I have one thing done for the recording and I do it sometimes, but I'm not back testing. Well, if you're not going to back test this information and you're not going to do a SWOT analysis on the information, don't record it. It's pointless. Why record information and data if you're not going to use it? Just for the sake of filling up a spreadsheet? You'll be wasting your time. I'm going to stop sharing because I don't have to show anything else for that. Yeah, so we spent a lot of time on that. So I know there's other topics that I'm going to try to get to right now, but that's some of the most important information that's going to be vital to your success that I can possibly give anybody that is new to trading or in early stages or new to the community. Like, honestly, like, do that stuff and focus on that over anything else. What we do on the charts and how we mark things up and look for certain candles, it's such a small percentage of this. It's such a small percentage of this. I assure you it is. All right, so somebody asked about the mindset when they are struggling with losers. So there's a couple things here. I went through that new video today. Good stuff. Good stuff. What would you guys say to somebody that asked that question? Like, what are some of the things that pop in your head when somebody asks, and then I'll address it. What do you think some of the things are that you think of when somebody says, I'm struggling with my mindset when I lose trades? What are some of the things? And I'll write them down so we have no demo. That could be one. So like the reason why I'm doing this is because that example that I just used previously, when somebody approaches me and they say that they're struggling with something, it's hard for me to pinpoint things because I'm not like watching everything you're doing. I don't know the work you're doing on your end. I don't know what you're recording or not recording. Like there's so many different variables. So I ask questions. And if somebody says this to me, we can ask certain questions. Like what are some of the things that pop up? And it's going to reveal your answer. So somebody says, what stage are they in, right? Like that's a good one. What stage are you in? That's exactly what I'm talking about. So you need to ask yourself these questions, right? So somebody said demo. First question, are you demo trading? The second one, which was awesome, Kyle, is what stage are you in? Are you in the first stage? Are you in the second stage? Are you break even, stagnant? Are you, right? Are you following the blueprint? How much are you risking? Absolutely. How much are you risking? How much are you risking per trade? Trade plan. That's another great one. Do you have a trade plan, and are you following it to a T, right? And in that trade plan, you're going to have confirmations. And for anybody that doesn't know, when you get to it and you go through all the stuff that I just covered, there's a bulletproof confirmation checklist that's going to break down determining the higher time frame trend down to the lower time frame, entry confirmations, strong confluences that you need to identify for targets, stop loss management, et cetera, right? Very, very detailed. You need to be following that. So maybe they're not following the trade plan with the confirmation, right? It might be too many pairs. It might be too many, too many trades in a day or in a week. That's another good one, Andy. Where's your market biofeedback, right? Are you recording your emotions or thoughts or feelings at the different stages? Because if you were, you'd be able to identify a lot of this stuff, and a lot of it will probably keep you out of those trades. Most people, I promise you right now, there's probably maybe 70% of the people in this community who I guarantee don't have a market biofeedback. And it's one of those things that we can ask people, and it's going to reveal why you might be struggling with a particular thing. How many pairs are you following? What specific patterns? Those are two great ones, right? Because that's another thing that you're trying to identify. Like when I talk about the video where I have my 3 top patterns, why do you think those are my 3 top patterns? Did I just, I like the way they look on the charts? They're pretty. Or is it because my data supports that I trade those? Right? It's my data. So like that's what you're also learning through your data collection through the different phases. And then that's another good one. Somebody talked about Mark Douglas, right? Have you done the work for developing your trader's mindset? One of the big ones comes to me is acquiring the casino owner mentality. We just did a training on this maybe like a month ago. And we talked about acquiring the casino owner mentality. When you're going through these different phases, right, I addressed a lot of things that directly correlate with the losing when I went over this stuff in the beginning. If depending on your stage, if you're not in a profitable, if you're not in that third phase, you're focusing on the result. You're focusing on the end result of each individual trade, probably on a weekly basis, end result, and monthly. when that's not your focus. You can't focus on that. You have to focus on, you're collecting data right now. You don't know what you're good at yet. You don't know your strengths and weaknesses. Like as a company, take EasyFX again, right? Until we had a full year, we did a full year, just over a year. I think it was maybe just about a year's worth of data. It was minimum that. It might have been a little bit more. We waited until we had a full year worth of data before we did our first SWOT analysis. And then that's what the company went through. And it took them, I think, a week or so. But it was focusing on just the data. And then we take that data, like all we did was applied like what we were learning, because we didn't know a lot of this stuff. It was a learning process through a lot of this stuff. I never had to, figure out how to take credit cards online or subscription management services and all this stuff. It was just learning it. And then we just applied it. And then we recorded everything, our paid ads, right? Like I'm not a paid ad marketing guy, right? But people in the company that we had do it, we recorded everything. And then that way we had a company come in and they looked at everything. They just ran the numbers. And if you take the paid ad thing, for example, all they could easily do was, okay, let me see how much you're spending on a daily basis. Let's see how much you're allocating towards each individual ad, which ads are performing, which are not, how much leads are generated by this one, that one, or whatever it might be. Out of the leads, how many are converting, right? And they ran all the numbers. And then they just said, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to focus on. These ones are good. These are bad. More money to this, less money to that, right? We knew exactly what to do based on the data. So when you're focusing on the result and you're worrying about winning or losing trades, first thing that just comes into my mind is you haven't trained yourself to think in probability. That's only going to happen when you're collecting data and you're not focusing on results and you're transitioning through these different phases. That's the only way. As humans, we're not designed to think in probability. It's one of the hardest things that you're going to have to do. And that's why I did a really good training on acquiring the casino owner mentality. Like if you're new, another little pro tip for you, after you finish the setup and you have all the templates downloaded and you've watched how to set up like a business, the next thing that you should probably dig into is the mindset stuff, right? Particularly the acquiring the casino owner mentality. And these are at the bottom of the trading business model. I should probably put them at the top. Managing emotions and developing a trader's mindset, and then the missing link between knowing what to do and getting the results that you want and bridging the gap so that you can start experiencing the results that you want right away. I'd watch those before I even get to the charts. You're going to speed track your results. And then there's more. Also, like the Mark Douglas 4-part video series, I'd do that. And then I would read Trading in the Zone. And I would read Trading in the Zone every 6 months. And my real question is, like, how many people are willing to do that? How many people are willing to do what I just said? Most people, if it were brand new and they came in here and I said, don't touch the chart stuff, the chart trainings or the group chat or the trade signals or the mentor charts for a month, right? Just focus on the stuff that we're going over today. You will just speed track your results. Like SpaceX, Elon Musk, rocket speed track. But like when you're talking about struggling with the mindset with losing trades, there's just so many variables to it. And you guys identified a lot. So like those are questions I would ask. Anytime that you're struggling with something, think of the questions that you should be asking yourself. You guys nailed a lot of really good ones because it really can be a lot of different things. But the video that I would really pay attention to is acquiring the casino owner mentality. When you look at a casino really quickly, right? And let's say I'm a casino owner and I have all these different games. All of these games, the reason why they're on the floor and they're in my casino is because I have an edge. I have an edge over anybody that comes and plays. I have my dealers and I have my security. So I have everything set up how I need to have it. I'm running a business, and I have certain games that customers can come in and play. And over every single one, my dealers, my games have an edge over you. I don't care who comes to the table. I don't care how much money you bring to the table. I don't care how many people win big hands or, hit the jackpot on a slot machine or, wager $100,000 bet on roulette and win. Why? Because I know over a large sample that my edge is going to outplay everyone. And like we typically say, if you lose, the market's just temporarily holding it for you, right? If somebody comes into the casino and wins, what are some strategies? They get you in a room, free massage. They try to get you to stay because ultimately you're just holding that money. And you're going to give it back in one form or another. And regardless if they do not, right, and they leave with their winnings, my games are designed to win. And I'm looking at it in probability. I know the majority of people are going to lose money at a casino. How many times have you walked into a casino and left a winner? So regardless, this guy over here might win a big hand on roulette for, let's say, 100,000. But previously, over the last week, I just collected 300K from all the people that were just consistently losing. I'm training myself and I'm thinking like a casino owner. I have the casino owner mentality, and you apply that to the charts. You're not going to win every hand. Every hand has a random outcome. It doesn't matter how many confirmations are there or how pretty it is. There's a random outcome, and you have no control over that random outcome. You only have control over what you have control over. But we know when we come to these charts with what we do, how we have things set up, with how we record things, and our concepts that we apply to these charts, we have an edge. And our edge statistically plays out if you follow the blueprint. Does that make sense? And that acquiring the casino owner mentality video, that training, it goes into this topic in depth. So for that topic, there's just a lot of things there. There's just a lot of variables, right? A lot of this also happens with over trading, revenge trading, trading times of the day that you shouldn't, trading time frames that you probably have no business on, right? Like if you're new and you're learning these concepts, the last thing that you should be doing is trading on lower time frames, especially if you're working, especially if you just don't have the time to, be in front of a computer. And you also have to recognize too, like if you are working on developing your skill on lower time frames and that's all you're putting your attention on, that means that that's what you're stuck in until you learn and change that. Me personally, I don't want to spend all my time for the rest of the time I plan on trading on lower time frames. It's too stressful. It requires me to be in front of my computer watching all these 1 minute candles. No, I don't. That's not why I go into trading. So I can just replace another job with another job sitting here all day. Right? Higher time frames will serve me best. Right? I do some lower time frames. I'm not going to beat around the bush, but you got to think of this stuff. Think of the lifestyle that you're trying to design. The lower time frames can be appealing for people for many reasons. One is usually it results back to acquiring the casino owner mentality, not thinking in probability, and just not developing that trader's mindset, because a lot of people, they want to be in and out of trades and they think lower time frames, it's going to happen faster and they don't have to hold trades. They don't have to manage trades. And that scares a lot of people because with higher time frames, things take longer to set up. Things take longer to play out. And the longer things take to play out, the longer you have to deal with emotions, the longer you have to deal with trade management. It's harder, or so they think. And it's usually lack of traders' mindset. The next one, and this will be the last one because we're already 10 past, and it just kind of fits the pattern that we're going today. I'm not going to do the top-down analysis stuff today. We're not going to do charts, and I'm not going to do time and price. We can do those on Friday. Let's just keep it with what we're talking about today. What was it? How to sit on your hands if you have no setups. Give me 1 second. But does that all make sense when we're talking about struggling with losers? Do you think that I care if I lose a trade? Honestly, if I lose a trade, do you think I care? Do you think I have emotion when I lose a trade? Like, what do you think I think about when I lose a trade? Or on the flip side of that, do you think I have emotions when I win a trade? Or do you think I care if I win a trade? Or do you think I get all happy and I celebrate? Or nope, you think about it next, on to the next, on to the next. What could have gone better? Nope, I do not think that. I do not think about what gone better, because every time I take a trade, it has my confirmations. Every trade I take, I know is a good trade. And a good trade is following my trade plan and following my confirmations. If I get into a trade that doesn't follow those, then it's a bad trade. I've done my data collection. I still collect my data, and all the stuff that I do, I talk about, and all the stuff I address today, I do it to this day. But the last thing I think about when I lose a trade is what could have gone better. I still execute my trades following my plan, and I collect that data. End of the month, I'll go through it, and then I'll look to improve. But I don't think anything at all, right? Just like a casino owner, if somebody comes in and they're crushing roulette or blackjack, do you think that casino owner is worrying about the money he just lost? Do you think that casino, like let's say, Steve Wynn, he owns the Wynn hotels and casinos. Do you think if he cares if somebody comes in, let's say McGregor comes in after a UFC fight and he's one of the whales, and he sits down, and he's got millions in front of him, and he's playing blackjack, and the guy walks away with $7 million. Do you think Steve Wynn even blinks an eye? Absolutely not, because he's probably already made 10 million that week. Regardless, but he's looking at it in probability. He knows that casino is built on having an edge over every single person that comes in. And how many casinos do you know at the end of the year, just from the gambling aspect of it, how many casinos do you know lose money at the end of the year from the gambling? Not many, because they trust their edge. You're not going to see Steve Wynn run downstairs and stop big hands because somebody's betting too much because he's afraid to lose that money. It's not how it works. That's how you have to come to these markets. If you have to come in with just extreme focus and just be a machine. Yeah, if I want, I can go and look and see all the money I just lost per hand, but what good does that serve me? I know I have an edge. I know I have everything set up how I need to. I know I have consistency in what I'm doing. I know I have discipline in what I'm doing. Right? So if I lose a trade, I know every trade that is executed. It doesn't matter if it's a trade setup that is as beautiful as they come. It doesn't matter if it's a trade setup that I just won the previous 4 trades with, right? It's my go-to setup. I know that trade has a random outcome, and I know I can lose even the best of the best setups. But I know that I did my work. The rest is out of my hands. I can only control what I can control. I can only control getting into high quality trade setups based on my plan and my confirmation checklist. After I execute, I already have my plan mapped out for how I got in and how I'm going to manage it and how I'm going to get out before I even press the button. And from there, it's all based on certain variables, and that's it. I have no control over it. And then after that, whatever the outcome is, I'm on to the next. That's it. That's how you don't dig yourself into holes. That's how you don't lose focus. That's how you don't get trapped into shiny objects. That's not how you just immediately look inwards, because we're humans and we're going to think like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, or I screwed up on that trade. That's not. That's why I tell people to focus on your data and not the results, so you don't tear yourself apart thinking that it's you, because we'll be the first person, right, to look at ourselves that we're screwing up somewhere, somehow, some way. Your edge, the people that are talking about, I'm still developing the edge. The only edge that you need to develop is the one here. Is the one up here. You have the edge on the charts. You have the edge on the charts. You just need to get the edge on how you process information and how you manage emotions. That is the real skill. Trust me, when I used to play online poker professionally, when I first started, if I lost a hand for a lot of money, I would take my chair and I would throw it across the room. God's honest truth. I would break laptops. That's not managing emotions. That's letting my emotions get the best of me. And that's not going to serve me best. It's a skill. There's a lot of skills. People think like trading, the skill is what you need to see and do on the charts. And that's it's the easiest piece. It's the easiest piece. It's the other stuff, like sitting on your hands and waiting for your setups, being disciplined to record your data, thinking like a casino owner, right? All these different things. And it all comes to what your thought process and how you manage the data that you're collecting through your eyes, looking at the charts and everything else. You know, seeing blue shouldn't determine a good day for you. Seeing red should not determine a bad day for you. So like when it comes to sitting on your hands, just to wrap this up, I know we're going over. When you're sitting on your hands, if you don't have your setups, what questions will we ask them? If somebody says, I'm struggling to sit on my hands when I don't have any setups, what questions might we ask them? Emotions, patience, discipline, mindset is way more important. It's everything. And that's why we want to create this community, because you're not going to learn this stuff. They're going to teach you how to trade a strategy and hope that you do okay. There's a reason why so many people fail in starting businesses and starting trading and network marketing and this and that. What questions will be asked that person? And maybe it's you. How to sit on your hands. How do I sit on my hands if there's no setups? What might we ask? Or what might we say? Do you have hobbies? What are your trading hours? What is your why? Why do you want to trade without your confirmations? I like that one, man. There are so many things that you can do. I really like that question. Why do you want to trade without your confirmations? That's like a casino owner putting a game in his casino floor without an edge, just because he feels like he needs to have gamblers. That's what that's like. You're gambling with no edge. You're trading with no edge. There's a reason why we have a trade plan. There's a reason why we have trade confirmations. There's a reason why we only watch 3 to 5 pairs, maybe less. Like I'm US 30 in gold. Right? Less is more in every aspect of trading. You're gonna see that. But I really like what Andy said. Like, why would you trade without your confirmation? Especially like if you plan on getting to a high level of trading and you're trading 6-figure accounts, or you plan on going for funding, or if you plan on talking to investors, or if you plan on doing 7-figure accounts, right? You always have to approach everything that you're doing with that mindset, right? Like, I would never in a million years try to get into trades. It doesn't matter if I had to go 3 weeks without taking a trade, if there's nothing there that meets my confirmations, because I'm not going to throw away thousands, tens of thousands of dollars and jeopardize the accounts I'm on just because I feel like I need to get into a trade. What are we talking about here? We've already talked about it today. We're talking about the different fears. How do we address the different fears? The fear of missing out, the fear of leaving money on the table, the fear of losing, the fear of not being in a trade. Market biofeedback. The market biofeedback is literally designed. Let me see if I can pull it up. That's literally what the market biofeedback is designed for, to help you obviously assess different, emotions and beliefs and this and that. But ultimately, they're all stemming from fear. So when you open up the market biofeedback, identifying how you feel about the market while trading is key to understanding yourself and becoming a better trader. Understanding what triggers you gives you awareness to your belief system and insight to your trader's mindset. Unlocking your limiting beliefs and personality will help you discover your best trading style. The goal is to eliminate emotion from trading, clear your mindset. This market biofeedback journal will help you identify your emotions when trading to eliminate the fears of being wrong, the fears of losing money, the fear of missing out, and the fear of leaving money on the table. Go into student mode while you're waiting for setups. Absolutely. Like, if your setups are not there, and coming back to what Andy said, which is probably like the best question that I could probably ask somebody, why would you want to trade? And I could probably add to that, why would you want to trade and risk your capital or your investor's capital without your confirmations? And then when you don't have them there, what can you do? Like everybody else said, I think John just said, go into student mode, go back test your data, go work on some of the videos, go work on your mindset, go read, Trading in the Zone, go watch, a video, Mark Douglas 4-part video series, how to think like a professional trader. You don't always have to be into a trade. Some of my best results early on when I was doing a swing trading strategy, I was doing 1 to 4 trades a month. 1 to 4 trades a month. Quality over quantity every time. Less is more, 100%. Like, honestly, a handful of trades can make your entire month. It's not about, like, I literally was talking to people. I think 5 people had 250 plus trades that they've taken in this month alone. Like, one, look at the lifestyle you're creating. That's like the first one that kicks into my mind. Like, if that's what you want to get good at, if that's what you want to do to yield consistent results, you're going to be married to the charts. You're going to be married to your MT4. You're going to be married to your phone. And you're going to have to do that if that's what you do and develop to work to make you money. Like, You really want to be taking 250 plus trades every single month to get the results that you're getting? Like, that doesn't seem like much of a lifestyle to me. That seems like a really crappy job, a stressful job, that a stressful, crappy job that relies on you being profitable to make money. Yeah, that's a lot of journaling. that is a heck of a lot of journaling. You know, you just got to have that in mind. Like, think of the lifestyle that you're creating with the habits that you're developing early on. You want to develop certain habits as if like you're already on a 6 and 7 figure account, because that's what you're going to carry on. You don't want to get onto, like, if I handed you a 6-figure account right now, you don't want to have to make changes. You want to be prepared for it mentally, physically, on the charts, everything. But I hope you guys are starting to connect these dots and really see what's important when it comes to consistently running a profitable trading business. And you notice how I said they're not being a consistently profitable trader. It's running a consistently profitable trading business, because that's what we're doing here. This is good stuff, changing my whole mindset. I'm glad. I'm glad. I love to hear that. This is literally the stuff that I had 8-figure traders, 7-figure traders, that when I was learning how to trade and I was struggling and I was like, I felt like I was running out of time because Emma was on the way, I would reach out to people. Kyle's on here. He'll tell you. Kyle was like one of my trading partners early on. We started trading. Well, he maybe a little bit earlier than me, but we joined the same team at like the same time. And I would literally reach out to people who had what I wanted doing what I was doing. And like, I reached out to, I'm not going to drop their names, and I would just be like, listen, like, what do I need to do? Like, where am I going wrong? Like, I need to, whatever. And I honestly didn't even think I was going to get responses from them. And the ones that I did get responses from, I thought I was just annoying the shit out of them, and the point that they were going to block me because I was just asking them so many questions. But I had a few that would, surprisingly respond and was having conversations with me. And then that's really where I got a grasp of risk to reward, risk management, and all of this stuff. Like, that's where I picked up market biofeedback. That's where I picked up back testing, SWOT analysis. That was a big one. An 8-figure trader taught me that SWOT analysis stuff, right? Like, and everything that they told me, everything that they said that I need to focus on was the complete opposite of the stuff that I thought I needed to focus on. I thought they were going to talk about some stuff I needed to do on the charts, or I was looking at things differently. Every single thing that they brought my attention to had nothing to do with the candles or the charts or the patterns. It all had to do with the stuff that we're talking about right now. So I'm not like poofing this out of the midair and saying like, hey, here's something new and this is what's going to help you. This is straight from the mouth of big time traders that I've applied, that I've done extremely well with, that people in this community have applied and have achieved funding and have done very well with, right? It's just, you have to have discipline and you have to have the right long-term mindset, the right vision, the belief, and just follow the blueprint. I mean, that's it. And anytime you find yourself asking certain questions like, how do I sit on my hands? Or I'm struggling with losing traders, right? And I asked those questions, right? Trying to identify what it could be. And you guys listed all those questions, right? Like, you're going to expose that answer. You're going to expose that answer. You cannot drum this in enough. I agree. So, I mean, I'm really happy these were some of the topics that you guys picked and that we could talk about, because it's just so important. It's so important. Like, I mean, we Luke, Brooks, and I, and like, we do all of this stuff. We record everything. We back test frequently. Luke and I were back testing a couple ideas that we've been seeing on the chart. of some things changing regardless, right? Like we do all this. We do all this like to this day because we want to improve, right? Like we're even where we're at, we're still students. We're always looking to learn. I'm never gonna think that I know it all or that like I've arrived, right? I always want to, improve, right? And be better. So we're running 90 minutes. This was a little bit longer session, but I think we went over some good material. I think if you're new to this community, you just got a really clear picture of what you need to do over the next 30 to 60 days. 100%. Do you guys agree? And if you are not new, that's fine. But if you're struggling with anything that we discussed today, or if you're not doing any of the stuff today, maybe this was a refresher. Maybe this was a kick in the ass. Maybe this is just what you needed to hear. The blueprint's there. Like I can only do so much on my end. I can show you things that you need to do, but at the end of the day, it's on you. Like those guys who showed me certain things, like that didn't guarantee my success. They just said, hey, look, here's the playbook. You can run with it. And I ran with it. Like if they said jump, I'm saying how high. Like I wasn't a question of like, okay, I just had this big time trader show me what he's doing and I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And that's that. So you guys have any questions? Let me think here. What do you recommend to start off the trading day? It takes me midday before I can get going. Any suggestions? So recently, like not recently, but maybe like mid last year, like I noticed like my energy wasn't there. Like the last thing, like I'll even still jokingly say it to Luke at night, like the last thing I want to be doing right now is on the charts and marking stuff up. I'm at that point now where it's just so redundant and, it's the same thing over and over. But, somebody told me if you're doing it right and consistent, it's boring. But I kind of got into that, what you're talking about. And it all stemmed from my health and my lifestyle habits. Like, as soon as I cut out soda, right? Like I started getting more energy. Like I'm telling you, I'm an early riser and I get up like max like 5 a.m. in the morning. Like that's late. And when 7 o'clock rolled around, or maybe even like 5 to 7, like I'm yawning and I could just go to bed. Like I would just be drained. So like I started eating better. I cut out soda. I cut out sugars. I started exercising. I got a gym. I invested in one of those what is that thing? What is it? Not the stupid bike there. The Nordic track bike, right? Just so I can, work on my health and my energy levels and my stamina and my focus, my clarity, right? Like it really, like I say this frequently, like how we are as people, the habits we have, the lifestyles we live, it's going to be a direct reflection on the charts. Like the charts will expose who you are. Like if you're somebody who's a gambler and you try to trade, what do you think that's going to happen there? You're going to be a gambler on the charts. If you're somebody who is not patient in life, right? Like if you can't be patient at your job or whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. And you come into trading, how are you going to be patient on the charts? Right? Same thing with discipline. Like if you're not a disciplined person, like, if you get a gym membership and you can't have the discipline to go every day or 4 times a week or whatever it is, like how are you going to be disciplined to be consistent with the things that you need to do to be successful as a trader, right? So, it all stems from that. It all stems from who we are, like the behaviors and the everything. So like I would honestly, I mean, again, I don't know your how you are in aspect. But for me, that's what I did. I just started getting healthier. I started exercising. I started drinking more water. Like I'm drinking like maybe 1.5 of these a day, and it made a big help for me. So, um, you know, I don't know if that has too much to do with like the start of your day, but I think it's something that will help. But like to start my day, like I don't jump on my phone. I try to just wake up. I have my coffee. Sometimes I'll read, I'll meditate, write down my goals, just wake up and just get some clarity. And then, maybe watch like a motivational or I don't know. It's all up to you. Exercise, get the blood flowing, drink some water. Just you're gonna have to get a routine. It's gonna be part of your trading hours. How long should you leave to take? Does it depend on what time frame? So like if you take before and after snapshots, you take your before and your after is either when you get stopped out or when the trade plays out. Because you're thinking in terms of like you want to see the data. It's not like I want to see what happens afterwards. And sometimes I'll split screen it and show the time frame that I'm trading and what the higher time frame looks like. So I'm eliminating having 3 or more snapshots. I can do a before and after, and each before and after is a split screen, higher and lower time frames. But that's what I would do. Thank you for your time. You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions? Healthy body, healthy mind. Absolutely. Absolutely. Took me a long time to realize that. I was a very unhealthy person. I ate crap and I felt like crap. I drank soda and a lot of sugar, and I smoked cigarettes, and wasn't too healthy. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. So I don't see any other questions. If that's that, one just come in. That works for me. I joined the club and eating healthy. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I do like a lot of chicken and rice and fish and no fast food. I'll cheat here and there and have some pizza. Like I can't like pizza's pizza. But lots of water and exercise. And no toxins, no bad things. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. Do you have any investments outside of trading? I do. And we're probably going to start layering in some of that too. That's something else that I've been talking about with other members and the guys. That's something I would like to do in addition to like crypto investments. Like I don't day trade crypto, but I do invest in crypto, and I do have other stuff too. And I'm taking like real estate classes, and I plan on getting into real estate at the end of the year. So like, yeah, that's definitely something I would like to add to the community as well, as like, a spot where we can talk about different investments, as a whole, like if, whatever it might be, whether it's my idea or somebody else's idea or whatever, but I'm not going to get into all those details right now. I want to be a little more respectful of everybody's time. We're over 90 minutes today. I apologize for that, but we'll definitely talk about that more in the future for sure. But it's a really good question. I do have some trainings. I can't list them off the top of my head, but we do have some good trainings that talk about that stuff, because at the end of the day, and I know everybody's opinion might be a little bit different on this, like I consider trading active income. Like trading, I know they sell it on you to, trading is making money while you sleep, or it's a passive, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not. If I'm not marking up charts, if I'm not in front of my computer, if I'm not executing trades, I'm not making money, right? So like, trading, I think, in my opinion, should be something that should be used to generate cash flow to be invested into passive income that will produce for you, like real estate, regardless if you're showing up and taking action, right? Because like if something happened to me right now, right? And this is, you know, a big reason why I got into other things to create that income. Like if something happened to me right now, what happens to Emma and what happens to Katie and what happens to all the things? Like we can only live off savings for so long. If I'm not trading, I'm not making money. Like if trading got shut down in the States, or, you know, if something just happened to me and whatever, right? So like I am at the point now where I'm trying to use trading as a flow or a source of cash flow that I can reinvest into things that will produce long-term passive income. But yeah, I can't think of those trainings off the top of my head where I talk about that stuff. But we're definitely going to be talking about more of that in the future. But other than that, let's wrap this up. I think it was a good call today. I think we talked about a lot of really good stuff today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got value from it. I will try to get this recording up as soon as possible. This might even be a recording that I put into the trading model, like a watch me first type of video, because we covered some good stuff today. Legacy, absolutely, 100%. That's it, man. That's it. That should be everyone's goal in this community.